network connection. That's awesome. Starting out. My name is Jeff Gamble, Indianapolis, Indiana, and this is
Brandy Pember from Indianapolis, Indiana as well.
Yeah, we're asking to tag. And what we're doing is basically we're going to come on every day, Monday through Friday at 11:30, and this is the Going Executive Director Show. Now, for some of you, you know that I was part of a company years ago. Actually, I spent 7 years. I started in 2005. And 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, 11, and I exited in 2012. I'm not going to get so much into leaving because people will ask us those questions privately, and that's really not a story for this. But what is a story for this is why Brandy and I have decided to actually come back to that company and what we're planning on doing. I was part of an organization that basically put together a really cool training program back then, and that helped not only catapult me, but it helped catapult many other people to the top of the chart inside of this particular company. So this show, I'm going to talk about company name. I'm going to talk about organization. I'm going to talk about basically structure, how structure works, how to put it together. So if you're not part of this company, that's cool. You can watch, that's fine. Just know I'm just throwing the disclosure out there, and I'll throw that out there at the beginning of every one. This is company specific. So if you're like, why do you keep talking about this company? That's why, because we're actually involved in actually building this. We're technically right now 12 days in, 13 days in, something like that.
Yes.
We actually started March the 20th. We were actually in the computer. We were able to hit a level in the company really quickly in the first 5 days, and now we're a couple days into this month, and we're approaching another level. I just got to look today to see if we've pushed over to the next level, and basically the goal is to hit the chart at the top of the chart in the end of the month. So that's where we're going. Allie McDonald, how you doing? So if you want to tag team members, that's cool. I'm going to put out a couple here real quick. So bear with us just a second because there were some people who asked to be on. And Tom's already here. And I'm not, I just invited somebody I shouldn't have. So Stupid Fingers. Harrison Pano. I'm just inviting people who are involved in our company. I'm kind of staying away from necessarily inviting people we don't know, unless they've asked for information. That's different. Jesse. Several people have asked for information about what we're doing and how we're doing and why we're doing. Lori Humphrey, Brendan. I just want to make sure I get the people who asked to be on. Because sometimes they're like, hey, where were you? I couldn't find you online. And obviously you can watch the replay of this, and we're going to put this in the Going Executive Director Show group, so that way you'll be able to see that later. I'm just tagging the people who are involved or asked to be involved in the show. Lucy, Josh, Jessica, Kevin, Taylor was another one, and Amanda, Jeff Evan, no, Valerie, Travis, Kevin. This is a gentleman I actually want to be on the show to speak. William's already part. Jacob's somebody I'm going to get back to. Katie's involved now. We'll go ahead and invite my mom because that'll just make her mad. Sorry, Mom. Sometimes you got to do stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be other people jumping on, so that's cool too. This is a person that I wanted to talk to about it. So that's kind of what this is about. Jessica Lynn's here. John's here. I'm not sure. So this is going to be a company-specific show. So here's what happened. We were involved in a company last year. Got going really fast. In 6 weeks, I think it was 5 weeks actually, we got to the really far up the chart. We made about $5,000 our first month involved. We were loving the product. I still love the product. But just weren't connecting. Sometimes you just don't connect with everything that's going on. And the more I watched, the less I connected. Love the people. Thought that was all cool. Ryan, what's going on? Love the people, just didn't connect necessarily to what was happening in the company. And eventually we kind of just backed off. And by the end of the year, both of us looked at each other and we were like, what are we doing? We don't know. And at the beginning of this year, we started evaluating, what happened last year. I got the 1099 and I was like, okay, we made some great money. But we were looking to build a significant six-figure income in something else. And up until then, because I had experience, I always made all the decisions about what we were getting into. I was getting contacted by things. And basically I said, up until now, I've always been the one making the decisions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over. Marty, what's going on? I'm going to turn this over to Brandy. And I wanted her to kind of get her input. And what we did is we started dissecting the industry, and we laid out all these different companies. And I said, based on who we are and what we want to do and who we know, what do we want to get into? What do we want to build? Because we both knew we wanted to build something, and I had different reasons for building than she did, but we both wanted to do something. So we laid out a list, and if you want that list, I'll actually give it to you. But part of the list was, we wanted something where we connected with the people. We wanted something where we were able to travel. We wanted something, obviously, that made good money. We wanted something that people could be able to buy and afford. We wanted something that would last long term, something that we saw that would be out in the future, not get eaten up because of the industry. There's so many things in the industry, and I don't want to mention any names, but, if we're at the gas station and we can buy the product, we didn't want to compete against the gas station and Walmart and Costco and Sam's Club, those kind of products, because there's a lot of stuff out there. So there was one company that kept popping back up again and again and again in conversation. So I was looking for a few different things. We talked about looking for something that had a system set up nationwide, because I'm in a situation where, yes, I know how to build a meeting. Yes, I know how to build a training. Yes, I know how to build a marketplace. But our biggest issue was, if you're trying to bring people into the business and build the system simultaneously, it divides your time. It's almost like two businesses in one. And I didn't want to do that all over again, because I've done that before. Also, with brand new companies, what you're going to see is the comp plan is going to change a lot. And a lot meaning about every 3 to 6 months. And I was with a company that did that. Every 3 to 6 months for the first few years, it changed its comp plan. It changed what it was doing. And here's what we can tell you: every time that a company changes its comp plan, you will lose about half your people. Now, they're not going to say, I'm leaving. What they're going to say is, okay, I'm going to go home and study this. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to go home and get frustrated because they didn't understand the comp plan to begin with, and they're going to leave. So if you look at that, over the course of 3 years, that means you're rebuilding your company. If they're doing it every 90 days to 6 months, you're rebuilding your company 2 to 4 times a year, meaning your team and your group. And I was like, yeah, I really don't want to do that anymore. So I was also looking for something. I was like, out of all the companies and all the products that I've marketed and seen, what do people use long term? Like, what's a company that I still know people that were involved a decade ago that are still using? And this one company kept coming back up. So I was looking for something that I could, break records, win trips, recruit people, feel good about, go to sleep and know they're taken care of, know that the comp plan's still going to basically be there. And I've been watching certain companies out there. So with that, I'm going to kind of turn this over to Brandy, because this is totally freestyle. Like, we didn't write anything out. I told her, we're just going to get on and kind of tell why we're doing what we're doing, how we're doing what we're doing. So you can kind of tell them what you were looking for and why you chose this.
Well, I was looking for something that we can build long term, because like Jeff said, with some of these other companies where it's vitamins, supplements, if you can get it at the store, you have to compete with all these other people. And I'm like, I don't necessarily want to be competing with everybody when someone can get it cheaper somewhere else, because I like a bargain and I'd rather go with the cheaper route and still get a good quality, because I like to research stuff and I can figure it out. So I didn't want to compete, like Jeff said. Also, I wanted to be with a company that's been around for a while, somebody who's well established. That way we don't have to deal with the problem, are they going to be here in the next 5 or 10 years? So I wanted to be with a very well established company, because if we build a 6-figure income with this company, I don't want the possibility of it disappearing in the next 10, 20 years. So I was looking for that. Also, is it useful to people, and is it really going to help everybody? And we've been using this product. I've been here for 4 years, and I got into a car accident, and Jeff was I was being harassed by the insurance companies, and they were trying to get me to sign something. And he's like, Brandy, you need to hang up the phone right now. So I did. And he's like, okay, I'm going to tell you about this other company, and I want you to sign up for it, because if they call you again, you need to have them call the attorney. And I was like, oh, okay. No, I grew up scared of the word lawyer and attorney, because I was just taught that they're uptight, snooty people and they just want to take your money. So I didn't really know. I was taught to just stay away from them, and I didn't know any better. But now, with how many times they've been able to help me in a lot of situations, I don't send anything through without them looking over it. So they helped me with my car situation. They've also helped us with our business. Jeff and I own a holistic health business, so we have them look over documents. And when the laws changed last year, they actually saved our business. A lot of people don't know this, but our entire advertising for our holistic health business disappeared due to the changes in the laws, and we're no longer allowed to advertise on Facebook. We can't advertise on Craigslist, and we couldn't advertise on Backpage, which all three of those were where everybody was advertising for massage and Reiki. Well, when that all disappeared, we were like, well, now what do we do? So we had like 90 days to figure it out, and I had to go. Jeff got on the phone, we talked to an attorney, and they're like, this is how you need to set it up, and this is what this means for you guys now. And we're like, okay, cool. So they really helped us put everything back into order, where if we didn't have them, we probably wouldn't have set it up right, and we could have actually gotten into a lot of trouble.
Well, actually, I told the attorney, here's what I want to do. And they were like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's right. That would protect you guys. So not to go into that story, but I actually tried to get back into this company several times. That's the reality. Mm-hmm. The reason being is people over the last 10 years or 9 years when I was out of the company, I left. I actually stopped working inside of this company as they changed from prepaid legal to Legal Shield. I got out and I stopped working it completely because I got into an argument with somebody, and that's another story. I wasn't physically out of the company until 2012 when a gentleman actually posted my picture of me online at another meeting, and I got into kind of an argument with the same gentleman, and I got a letter in the mail saying, you've been terminated, your position's out. Not a phone call, anything. He had a lot of power inside the company, and I found that he was at a certain gentleman's house who had way more power, which ironically enough I'm now working with, which is really funny. But that's sometimes how it works. That's business. That person is no longer in the picture, so I have no fear of that, same transaction happening to myself or anybody else. So I actually tried to get back in several times. When Brandy was in that accident, I told her about this product and, what it did. And I got her on the phone with the number one money earner in the company at that time. He told her about it, and she's like, well, he told me about the opportunity too. And I'm like, well, go ahead and sign up for it, because I knew that gentleman would have the ability to, basically make a phone call and straighten my situation out. So that way I could sell the product again. I wasn't necessarily looking to build anything, but I still had people asking about this program, which is awesome. I mean, imagine doing something that you've been out of for, at that point, I'd been out of for at least 4 or 5 years. And I still had people call me every single year. I mean, sometimes several times a month, asking me, hey, do you still do that thing with attorneys? Can you still get me that product? I had my mom, I had my dad, I had my brother. I had several friends involved, so every time somebody called, I would actually give it to one of them. So I was still selling the program. I just wasn't personally benefiting from it anymore. So I said, it'd be good to actually have access to that, because I would sell it again. I also tied it to my real estate company. So for those of you who don't know, the reason I launched into the company so big and so fast is because I found a way to fix people's credit using this product. I have a free system to get your credit back on track, which that was the big lead in before. Everybody's like, well, how did you get in front of so many people? I said, well, I have a free system to get your credit back on track. Everybody who had credit issues said, I will book an appointment with you. I will pay for your coffee. I'll pay for your lunch if you'll tell me how you did that. Because I went from a $3.5 million bankruptcy to a 700 credit score in about 7 months. And we don't have time to go into how we did that, but I will share that with you on this show at another time. But since I did that, a lot of people approached me, and I was able to put a lot of people in the company very quickly. So that's basically, we're back again doing that. So kind of to digress and go back to this story, I have this conversation. She gets into the business. She ends up signing up with the #1 money earner 4 years ago. We start talking, and I wanted to build a little bit of relationship with him before I asked for a favor. So it didn't work out. Unknowns to us, he already was sick and had cancer, and about, I don't know, it was something like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks in, we find out that he's terminal, and he passes away before we ever have that conversation. So again, I kind of missed the opportunity to get back in. The following year, for a year, we tried to get in touch with that organization. We tried to get in touch with the people who ran it. Never got a call back. Never got connected, and rightfully so. I mean, the family was grieving. The family made a lot of money, and they just didn't get back to us.
And mind you, we did not contact them right away.
Yeah, we waited like, I don't know, it was like 4 months before we started making the phone calls and trying to say, hey, we just want some information. We want to figure this out. Is there anybody who can help us? And we got no response at all. I can't say that. We got called back by the secretary once. What was your message? What do you want? And then we never got called back. I had one conversation with one guy, and he was kind of like, yeah, I mainly just do this one part of the bit. I don't really fool with the stuff you're talking about. Total disinterest. And just, that's it. So we decided I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I then had another call with one of the leaders that is still involved that we used to work with. And he called in, and he called me back probably a week after or something, a few days after I had the conversation with him. And he's like, Jeff, I've never even seen this before. Like, that's what he told me. He's like, I've never seen this before. They just told me not right now. And he's like, I don't even know what to tell you. They just said no. So I can't help you. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. And I was cool with that. I was super appreciative, and I still am, that he would even make that phone call, that I had that relationship. And it wasn't until this last year, about a year ago, I saw that Mr. James Kelly, who I've been friends with for over a decade, I've been friends with him and his wife, Kenitha. I saw that he was speaking in Indianapolis about a year ago. So I actually reached out to him. I'm like, hey, you're in Indianapolis. That's so cool. I'm like, let's grab coffee or something. And he's like, yeah, sure. And we just sat down and talked. I was just kind of catching up, and he kind of, I could tell that he thought I was going to maybe pitch him. And he's like, so what are you doing now? And I'm like, we're not in anything. And he's like, not in anything? I'm like, no, we're not in anything. He's like, well, what happened to the company you were with? And I told him that story. He's like, well, whatever happened to you with this company, with Legal Shield? And I told him the story, and he's like, oh, wow. He's like, that's interesting. But that's all he said. And he said, well, it's great to talk. The next time I come in, we'll talk. And about 3 weeks later, I get a call back from him, and he said, hey, if you could get back in, would you want to? And I was like, well, I've already tried several times, and basically I got told no. And he's like, well, I just had a conversation with a high up in the company, and $1 million earner, and he said he can do it. And I was like, well, I know who that $1 million earner is, and he could do it if he wanted to. I was like, what do we do? And he's like, well, fill this out, have this conversation with him. So we talked, and I gave him the information, and he called corporate, and corporate basically said last year, no. Not like no, never, just no, right now, can't do it. Check back in a couple months is basically what they said. Well, what I didn't know is at that time, at that time, the company was getting bought up by an insurance company, so they just weren't messing with that yet. Once all that took place last year, we actually went back to the conversation, and he's like, in October, he's like, fill out this form and send it in. And I'll be real honest, at that point, I didn't even think this was going to happen. I was pretty much completely discouraged. There was no way. And I filled it out, and I sent it back in. What ends up happening is I get the application, or I get a call back from him, or a message. I got a text message back from him. Sorry that I'm a little spaced out here. I get a message back from him, and he's like, okay, you're in, here's your passcode. I still didn't believe it. What ends up happening is I enter into the computer about a week later, and I pull it up, and it actually shows me by back office, not the names, but it shows me all the production from years ago. It allows me to pull all my 1099s. So I pull all my 1099s, which I had the knowledge up here, but like in moving again, I ended up destroying a lot of my financial records. So I didn't have the exact numbers. I knew about what I made each year, but I added it up, and I made over $200,000. I made over 200 grand in the 5 years that I participated in that company. I had exact numbers now, and I was like, man, I was a ring earner. I mean, I was a ring earner under this new system. Not only was I a ring earner once, I mean, it was multiple years I would have been a ring earner. And we had the production. So I was like, yeah, this totally makes sense. And we basically came up with about 12 reasons. After we compared everything, there was 12 reasons why we decided to make the run in this. Then we had to move Brandy from the organization she was in over to build together. And that took till March 20th because she had written business the year before. So it took till March 20th, and not that that's something you guys need to do, or if you're somewhere else in an organization, we're not asking you to do that. We're not telling you. That was just our decision. We wanted to work with these guys, and we were willing to wait out the situation. We waited out the situation. She moved over, and then we started putting things together again. So this show is going to be detailed, but we wanted to at least tell you why. Now, when I opened up my back office, here's the interesting thing. I could see the production. I could see the 480 leads that the company gave me. Corporate gave me about 480 leads. The problem is for the first year, I didn't even know I was getting them because nobody that I worked with knew that you got corporate leads, or nobody told me how it worked. Because, you know, I mean, certain people just don't teach certain things. And it wasn't until I was out in California, out in LA, that my upline happened to be online that morning, and he's like, oh, cool, I got 2 corporate leads. I was like, what are corporate leads? And he showed me in my back office, and when I pulled mine up, I had missed 40 or 50 of them. So I have all my leads there, and this was the most interesting thing. It said I had built a team of 8,000 people, which shows the numbers. Over 8,000 people were there. But I still had 10 frontline people in my old position I no longer have access to. There were 10 people frontline still active, and there were 1,100 people residually still active underneath that, paying a membership that I got out of 8 years before. So 5 years, 8 years, you know, somewhere between there, those people still had their membership that long later. And what I can say is that was really convincing to me, because I've been in multiple companies, and I don't want to name names, but I was in a product company. There's not one person left of that organization that buys product for them. I was in another product company. There's not one person still buying those products that's active in the system, because I looked and asked, and I have access to other people's back offices. 3 different companies, not one person still buying any of the products. And I'm not talking about only having 10 or 15 people. I'm talking about having hundreds or thousands of people involved, not a single person. So here I am looking at a company 8 years after I left. Not only is the leadership still there, but the leadership's making more money. And they've been making more money for decades. I was like, that's more along the lines of what I want to do. I want to build something that if I want to leave for a period of time, that the money's still there and still comes in. So that's basically what we're doing, is we've gone back. Hello. Michelle. We've gone back. We got back in. We just got started. We're about 12 days in, 13 days in. And what we're doing is we're building to the top of the chart very, very, very quickly. What that means is I'm going to lay out the structure. Basically, what we're doing is we're taking 3 organizations. We sponsor 3 people across. And the way that this particular comp plan works is you have to do a certain amount of volume in each organization, and you also have to have certain levels hit in each organization. So what we did is we put in the 3, and we started building down, and we identified the guys who could do that level, and we're helping each one of them hit that level, and we've got one of them done. We've got another one almost there. He's like 200 away, and we've got another one that's almost there. So we've already got one that's qualified at the level that we need. This gentleman, Francisco, looks like he'll, and by the way, I don't know, Francisco, if it shows in the, I haven't seen it show up yet, but it'll probably show up tonight because you did it yesterday. But he just leveled up as well in the company, and we're going to help him hit the level. There's another gentleman named Dave Peters is in another leg running. We're going to help him hit the level, and then we'll have those 3 people across, and we're building down underneath them. So I'm going to take these 3 legs, just like I did the last time, and I'm building straight down. The objective is 100 levels deep. So imagine getting in and somebody placing 99 people or 98 or 97 or however deep I am. And like each one of those groups is already over 5 or 6 deep, because there's about 20, I want to say there's like 25 or 30 people involved right now in the first couple days. But I'm going to drive each one of those legs 100 levels deep. The production from the bottom that comes up is going to push every single person all the way up to the top of the chart, because the way that this particular organization and company works is to get to the highest paid permanent position, you have to do a certain amount of volume either personally or through your team. So if I play straight down, the volume from the bottom actually pushes you all the way up the chart. If you get to basically 2,700 in volume, 2,700, they call it premium in insurance, but it's volume, 2,700 in volume a month, cumulative over the time you've been in, then you're basically sitting with the volume. Now all you need is what? You need the 3 people across in each one of those legs to hit a certain level. That level is 400 in volume. It's really simple to do. Technically it's about 10, 15 people for your other 2. So you're looking at 30 people maybe total to hit those levels. 30 people, you're now at the top highest permanent paid position inside of a company that you could rock out. So I'm going to help a bunch of people do that, just like I did last time. The last time when we put this organization together, we got it to 8,000 people. I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. I was stupid. It was the first time I'd ever built anything. I really hadn't trained before. So now I'm going to try to compact what I did in over a period of 5.5 years. I'm going to compact into 12 months. So it's going to go really fast. We're actually going to use a lead program after I get through the people that I know. Chris Huff's with us. What's up, sir? Thanos, really? Dude, did you see what I put up the other day? It was like, Thanos helps the children. It was so wrong, dude. I will send it to you because you'll laugh. But basically, yeah, we're building all over again. I got out. We got back in. We're going to do this again, as crazy as it sounds. And right now I have to get off of this live and jump onto another one, so that way I can start with every day, Monday through Friday at noon, I work with Bess McCarthy. It's a generic show where we go through the 21 Laws of Leadership. So you're welcome to join us on that. I just wanted to start out by kind of telling you our story. We're back. We're going to build all over again. I'm 25 people in. The last time we put in 8,000, and we're going to compact that into 12 months instead of 5 years. So if you want to run with us, reach out to us, let us know. If you want the whole story, reach out to us and I'll tell you. Thank you guys so much for joining. Brandy, anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.